Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the hell you are in the world, and welcome to Star Trek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel.
Woohoo!
I'm joined, as always, by the Nathan. Harris is frozen.
Oh, am I frozen still?
A little bit.
It seems like he's frozen.
Isn't it always great how it pauses in the best faces? I will remove you a second, young Harris, sir.
Yeah, Harris.
I can get you back in. He's still frozen. And obviously, Stormy Bear is with us as well. So we'll wait for Harris to come back. Today, we are going... Oh, is he? Hello.
Harris. Where are you, Harris? Harris.
He'll be back. Right, so we are going to be talking Stargate today. We're going to be talking Series 3, reviewing the Marvelous series, and then discussing a little bit about Maybourne. Because there's a couple of really good episodes in the series with Maybourne in, and we have to ask: is really he as useless as he looks? Hey, Harris is back.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Harris was like, but he's back. So grand. We're gonna have one of those technical issue days, aren't we? Damn
Just
it.
makes it fun, right?
Yeah, not for me. It makes it stressful for me. But anyway, so. Before, though, we get into discussing Stargate, as always, we'll discuss what we've been watching this week. So, Stormy, what have you been watching this week, mate, before we kick off?
Okay, so the thing I've been watching the most is the outcome of all of my COVID tests, which is still all positive. I'm building a collection. Harris thinks I should make a popsicle stick boat and sail to Hawaii with all of them.
It would be great.
So I've had a lot of downtime. There's one thing I found called Archive. Archive, it's a series set in the future about storing people before they die. I really can't say anything else because it's I don't want to spoil the ending because the ending is tremendous, but it is called Archive. And I suggest that heartily. Very, very good TV. It's not a TV show, it's a movie.
I think I might have seen it advertised, but I've not watched it. So I will keep an eye open for that.
It is a little bit on the cerebral side, but it is really, really, I mean, it's not an action thriller, so it's not that. Also watched Prey.
Finally. Very God damn it, Stormy.
Finally.
Right?
How'd you like it?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
But it's woke.
We discussed all the hand wringing that went on before. A 95-pound girl can't take them. Well, if you really watched it, the whole tribe had a stab at the predator. I mean, he got cut up one end and down the other. Now, of course, he would slaughter people. And what was the actress's name? Mid-Thunder?
Amber Mid-Thunder. Mm.
What was it?
Amber Mid-Thunder.
Mid-Thunder, right. Amber Mid-Thunder. And she was the last hunter standing, and she just outsmarted it, used its own technology in it. I thought it was tremendous. I really did.
For me, it was a remake of The Predator. Yeah. But I think it made more sense in a way because The Predator ignored her for a lot because she was a 90-pound, she wasn't a threat. So that's why she survived to the end.
Mm-hmm.
In the original Predator, Arnie just survived because he was lucky. That was the only reason Arnold's the last man standing. He just happened to be the one the Predator went for last, and then he happened to fall in some mud.
And the Predator, let's all remember, killed itself. I mean, essentially, he set the self-destruct. I mean, it was suicide. Arnie really didn't kill the Predator. The Predator suicided himself. Am I remembering that correctly? Right?
Yeah. He suicided himself. Yeah. He Harvey Weinsteined it. Yeah.
I
think that one's still kicking. It's the other one. It's the other Stein back there.
No, I was going with Jerry, but I think Harvey's next.
Well, I think you're going to get 8-0 this week. And another thing I was watching, I was kind of surprised. I just watched an episode on a lark and started watching Pennyworth.
Oh,
I like the Alfred the Butler for Batman.
The singer that's in it, I think she's great. I can't remember her name because she's more poppy, but she's so funny. I've seen her in a few interviews on panel shows and things, and she's hilarious.
There were 3 seasons of it, and I'm about halfway through the first season. I really did like it. I finished up Sandman with the bonus.
No spoilers. I'm only episode 6. If you spoil this for me, I will come over there and I will punch you in your COVID face. I'm so enjoying it. It's so good, and I've just finished episode 6. It's really good.
It's a blast. It's fantastic.
Don't forget the bonus episode.
Yeah, 11 episodes. I might see. No, I've watched season. I've watched 8. I've watched 8. So, but it's so good. It's so beautifully made, and even I didn't like the guy that plays the Sandman in the first episode. I thought he was a bit crap, and I couldn't understand why he was whispering. He was going to
COVID.
All the way but then by the 3rd episode, it's like, freaking love this guy. He's amazing. I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, don't spoil it.
Okay, so I also got around to finally seeing Top Gun Maverick.
There we go.
Very good. I really did like the way they did Val Kilmer stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Right. We will apologize for Stormy, by the way, guys, if you think he's really not very well. But he's going to do his best for us. But even he loves Sidetrack so much that even half dead with COVID, he's still
half dead with COVID.
How about you, Harris? What you've been watching this week, sir?
Sorry,
no, Stormy's got one still. You can wait your turn, Stormy. Wait your turn.
Well, no, he's had time to watch.
And of course, leading up to this, I've been binge watching Stargate SG-1 this week, and I'm up to season 5.
Excellent.
And one thing I wanted to bring up, especially in season 1, we were talking previously on another live stream concerning when did new Daniel Jackson start? The getting away from the original actor and into.
When did he stop doing the impression? Yeah.
Right, and we also discussed, when did Jack O'Neill become the SG-1 Jack O'Neill? And we discussed about Jack's dealing with his dead son, which was introduced in the original movie, and how he died. And that theme is brought up more than I remember. The theme of Jack's son, Charlie. And excuse me, I was really touched with it, and I think we were right that it wasn't necessarily we got to see the original Jack, not the traumatized Jack from the first movie, and because we see that play through with Scara's abduction, et cetera, and finally Scara's death. And we see, and I think. And it was the same thing with Daniel Jackson of how dealing with the abduction and
that's a big core in this series.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that in a minute, Stormy, because you've always got everyone, haven't you? All right. What have you enjoyed this week, sir?
Well, I too have been catching up on a little Stargate. We're not catching up. I'm still watching it for the first time ever. But I just went through the last third of season 3, and I'm about 3 or 4 episodes into season 4. So I'm having a good time with it right now. We'll get into all that in a little bit because I hit the sweet spots for this week, thankfully. But I saw Beast. I know you recently saw Beast, but I saw
Beast today,
last weekend, and then this past week I've seen. I also saw Idris. I've seen Idris Elba twice in the theater this week because I went to go see George Miller's 3,000 Years of Longing, and that was good. It's very vibrant and has a good charm to it, but it's not blockbuster worthy. It didn't make nearly as much money as I expected it to. Sorry, George Miller. Bring us more Mad Max, please. But besides that, I watched The Samaritan, and then I saw something else in the theater. I went to see The Invitation, which was not the best horror movie in the world, but a horror movie nonetheless. So it was a good time.
I'd love to be a teenager again and go to cinema every day. As soon as you got family and kids, go to cinema.
The right spot in the world.
I just go to the cinema and it's like I've got a job. I tell you the one thing I did watch this week that I was I in my car driving home after watching it, I ranted in my brain, actually quite out loud for a little bit because I do that. I watched the second episode of She-Hulk.
Okay.
And I loved that, spoiler alert on this one, Tim Roth is in it as the Abominable, and he's great. He's such a great actor, and he's really good in it. And I love how he's
Tim Roth in the ads. I don't know if that's really a spoil. He's in the advertising.
he is in the ads. There you go. I'm going to, but his acting in it is great because he just pulls back from sarcasm when he's saying how sorry he is, and he sort of does it. And he's just that hint that he's talking shit, but then he's talking about haikus and things.
The haikus were great.
Yeah, I'm still not a fan of the humor. I still think it's a bit and breaking down the fourth wall and all that stuff. I'm like a bit okay. You've done this, but I'm just waiting for Daredevil to turn up. But it just threw me back to. I'm still so angry what they've done with the Hulk, and they've made him the intelligent Hulk, and they did it off screen between the two Avengers movies. We had that whole story arc where the Hulk won't come out and he's scared of Thanos and he's like, "Come on, big guy, help me!" And they're like, "No!" And then they're just between the two Avengers movies, they just went, "He's intelligent now." Sorted, figured that out.
Closed captioning they refer to him as Smart Hulk. That was just Hulk.
Well, it's just that whole story arc still pisses me off. And it is quite feminist, and I know people are shouting woke, and it's a little irritating at times, but on the whole, I'm quite enjoying it. But I'm just waiting for Daredevil.
Yeah, I think the first episode had a little bit of that, but the second episode I thought was good for anybody and everybody. I liked the second episode a lot more. It did lean into the humor a little bit, but
yeah,
as long as it doesn't go Love and Thunder type of humor, I think we'll be all right.
Jesus Christ, that's comedy vomit everywhere. But let's have a chat about Stargate Series 3. It's why we're here, people. Even though Stormy's already ran to the end. First of all, let's just talk quickly about what our general feelings of the series, because I'm going to tell you straight off the bat, I think this is one of the weakest SG-1 series as a whole. There's a lot of quite boring episodes in there for me. We can go through a couple, but what do you guys think? As a general series compared to the rest, where do you rank it? Where do you rate it?
Well,
Andrew's already on seasons.
I saw that.
We say series in this country. Leave me alone. Everyone's picking on me. I say series. That's what we say here.
It seemed to me that it was kind of Act 2.2. There was a lot of we got a lot of really juicy detail world building in season 1, and then in season 2 we got to expand it with a little bit more detail. And I think the detail phase kind of blended over to season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Season 4 really starts to expand on it. I mean, at this point in time, how many damn times did we kill the Pappas?
3.
As soon as he was dead. Then he had like the molten skin face, reincarnation when he was in hell or whatever. And it was, I think there was a lot of sprouts that led to very strong episodes in seasons after that. But I think 3 was good. 3 was okay. I mean, I'm not throwing it out or anything, but in terms of how we were spoiled after this with really excellent storytelling and several spin-offs, I think 3 was. If it ended there, I think 3 would have been a really great season. But we really got spoiled with really great shit on down the line that came from season 2 and season 3.
Most definitely. It laid the seeds. Well, Harris, you are a newbie, a baby Stargater. You've only seen series 1, 2, and 3. So how do you think it compares to 1 and 2?
Well, just starting, I guess, season 4, I see what y'all are saying with season 3 kind of lacking a little bit just because it immediately moves faster in season 4. But I like season 3 just coming from a fresh perspective. At the same time, I'm a sucker for some world building. So those slower episodes that kind of draw out and build the mythos, I don't mind as much. But they don't necessarily progress the story forward as much as season 1 or 2 did. It's probably tied for season 2 as my least favorite as of now, just because season 1 was just great just to introduce everything. But season 4 is already, I think I'm gonna really like what's going forward. I already like it a lot, but I think what I'm really gonna like what's going forward because of the setup. There's a lot of
you're gonna love it. I think season 4 is probably the best season of all of them. If I had to pick one, it's so strong. I actually think season 2 is probably the most important season out of all of them. You see, I can play good, and I can play nicely with the Americans, because it like sets everything up in season 2. But season 3 is. But we'll talk about a couple of the episodes. For me, the start of season 3 is mind-numbingly boring. I hate the Hathor episodes into Fire. I think they're stupid. I hate the Hathor character, full stop, and I just think it's crap. But this is basically how we ended this season 2 review conversation. This is shit. So can we ignore that and move on?
If we can also ignore the second episode, which is Seth.
It's also crap.
Okay, so we're all.
Yeah, I like the Fair Game episode though, with the treaty. I like that episode.
Yes.
Do you want to know a little bit of Stargate trivia that I learned today that I found fascinating?
Sure.
The characters of Nerty and you had both worked previously on Stargate. The actor that played you was actually a stuntman on Stargate SG-1 before this. And Nerty, her character, she was actually a screenwriter. So a story editor, sorry. So she'd actually worked previously on Stargate, and they just gave her a job. They were literally like, "Who will fit in this outfit? You'll do." Get on screen. If you think about that, you became a major character, really.
Yeah.
They did this a lot in Stargate, though. I mean, that chap that he was the tall fella. He was always an engineer or something with glasses, and he was actually the stunt coordinator, and he appeared in loads and loads of episodes. Because they just sort of like they almost get pushed on something like, oh, what, the wrong side of the camera. But I didn't know that till today, so I love that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love the episode Fair Game though, because it also told us a bit more about the Asgard, and it teased where they were going with the end of it when they said we are fighting an enemy that is far worse than the Goa'uld, and we're getting our asses kicked in another galaxy. So it teased where we're going with the end of Series 3. So, yeah. But we each picked an episode that we really liked. If it's okay with you, gentlemen, I'll go first. If that's okay. I loved the Dead Man Switch episode with Sam J. Jones in. It's an actor that obviously we know him for Flash Gordon's Alive. Obviously, he was Flash Gordon, but in this he played Irish Spock, and he's just that bounty hunting character. I wish he'd come back in other Stargate episodes, because it's not the best Stargate episode in the world. Don't get me wrong, but I just loved his character, and I just wish we'd seen more of him.
He brings a lot to it. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really add much to the series, to be honest, this episode, but he was just great in it. And yeah, I wish he'd been out. I wish he'd made a comeback. I wish we'd seen him a bit more. Harris, which episode did you pick, sir?
I chose Nemesis, which is the season finale, and I don't know. It might not have been my favorite episode of the season. I don't know if I could choose a favorite. I really did like the Aaron Spock episode, because that's just good world building, but subtle world building all at once. But Nemesis was great because it kind of brought all the world building that we've gotten, a good chunk at least of the world building we've gotten so far, to full circle. We get to see the new enemies of the Asgard. We get to see kind of Thor open up even more so than he has to not just Jack, but also Carter and Teal'c a little bit. So I don't know. I was just a really big fan of the episode, and I like it was really sci-fi. Really specifically. Okay, we have to blow up the ship heading into the atmosphere. The pressure won't do it up here or down here. Or different things. Yeah. The vacuum of space would screw it up. We have to do it right here. We have to be hyper specific. Teal'c almost dying and having to be flown off the side for a little bit and shot back in the ship. It's great.
Teal'c almost always dies.
Teal'c almost always dies.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he's a Jaffa.
Daniel actually dies and comes back. Teal'c almost dies a lot.
Actually, I think in season 5, he did die after Apophis brainwashed him, and Braytac stole Junior, ripped it out of his tummy, and then they all had to watch him die so he would get rid of the brainwashing.
Yeah.
And start seeing Apophis as dead.
But then he come back. That's when they start on that. They all start on that treatment, don't they? That chemical treatment at the top crash.
The little blue, the blue meth,
Yeah, the blended, the blended worms. Oh, sorry, we're ruining it for Paris. We're ruining Stargate for Paris. Sorry. Hey, George, how you doing? Judah Khan and Bob and everyone's in the house and Andrew yelling at me for season. And Stormy, sorry, what episode did you pick as the standout one for you?
I really like Shades of Grey. I mean, we discussed this on a private chat earlier when I started this binge.
We're not talking about your adult movie collection, mate. We're talking about
okay.
Please concentrate.
How many Shades of Grey?
This was apparently it was one.
Just one.
You know,
one shade of grey. It's not really a shade, is it? It's just grey.
Just grey.
Really? Yeah. For being
okay, so when I prepared for Stargate SG-1s for my binge, I was reading this book, the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Cool.
The Way of the Cartouche. I got more. Oh God, they're down here.
Do way more research than I think is necessary.
Yeah, I know I did.
Recasting of Jackson.
Yeah, I was really into it. The Book of Death. You know, once you read this, there's a whole lot of storytelling they just took from this book. I mean, this is actually the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And in terms of storytelling, I'm really, really inspired that the writers went to such historical detail to write all of this. But in terms of which shade of gray, it was Maybourne. You know, this is the episode where Jack O'Neill goes to the Tolan. They've got this diplomatic conference about technology exchange, especially weapons. And Jack becomes all indignant, leaves, flash of anger, rips a sensor off the wall to, to show his disdain for the Tolans. And then he becomes a real major asshole throughout with the rest of the SG team and General Hammond. So then he's forced to retire. And then Maybourne, about a week later, recruits him to the evil SG-1 team. And these guys run around and steal technology that these cultures did not release to the SG team. A very, very British episode, if you take my name.
Very polite.
Very, very polite. It's like the only reasons that the pyramids of Egypt are still in Giza is because the Brits couldn't haul them back to London. You know,
we emptied everything else out. It's all in the British Museum.
Yeah. So anyway, this whole thing is a ruse to, and it was the Tolan and the Asgard and General Hammond to find out who was stealing stuff from, who the perpetrators were, who this last ops team was, and Maybourne was at the center.
Yep.
And of course, then Maybourne gets put in jail. But the reason I liked it was there's a little bit of espionage. And Maybourne again fucks up and gets tossed in jail for treason. And just a few episodes later, Jack has to go fish him out of prison, and he escapes in Margaritaville. But
Yep.
I really did like this. I mean, it really sets Maybourne up as kind of Faust, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, he's the devil you have to deal with. He's the one you have to bargain with. And I thought that was clever.
He is his character, because Harris, you haven't seen the episode, so you don't know, but his character becomes quite important in quite a few episodes later on in the series, and he is just that slightly lovable rogue or guy you love to hate, and he's just a completely selfish little turd, to be honest. But everything he touches goes wrong eventually, and that's one of the beautiful things about it. None of his plans work out. The thing I liked in this episode the most, though, in Shades of Grey, was that the whole setup of the ruse of the trap was completely believable. All the way through, you go in. Well, obviously Jack isn't going to have to retire, and there must be something going on, or it's gonna, he's gonna realize. But all the way through, you're not thinking, "Oh, this is out of character." Like a lot of these types of episodes, you're like, "Why is he doing that? This is completely out of character." All the way through, you go in. This is completely in character. I can't believe Jack hasn't done this sooner. It's like, so that's why I loved it. And then when it had the twist, like 2/3 of the way through, it was actually genuinely like, "Oh my god, that's so clever!" It's like it was actually a twist.
I was pissed off watching the episode the first time. I was like, "Why is Jack doing all this stuff?" And of course, we figured it out pretty quick. But it does. They do a really good job of convincing you.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant episode. It's really, really clever. And then obviously that we get the NID sorted out, and that's a good episode as well, because I did love the NID Area 51 episode from season 2. Before we talk, if we want to talk about Maybourne a bit more, should we go through a couple of other episodes that are very important? Because we did mention, or Stormy did mention, the Harcesis in the earlier, a little bit earlier. The Harcesis is an important part of this series, particularly in the maternal instinct episode at the end, where we see the Ancients for the first time. They never say it's the Ancients, but the wispy design and how they shape it, that is how we see the Ancients every other time later. So
that's where the Ancients. Yeah. Mother Nature is an Ancient.
Yes. So, oh my god,
Uh-oh. Hey, we don't have the technical difficulties.
Hey, man, James is frozen. Let's look real close.
We're back. My Wi-Fi is not great.
Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Mother Nature. Oma de Lhasa, or whatever they call her.
Yes, Oma. So she is an Ancient. So, and that's who we see in this episode. We see the Ancients for the first time, and I've just completely ruined the rest of the series for you. So there's no point watching it. So yes, she's an Ancient. So I mean, that's cool. I like that. I like that whole episode because I liked all the. I like the little Chinese fella in the sand and everything, and all the, and Daniel learning taking his first steps towards maybe ascending one day. It's like, as he does repeatedly, every 5 minutes, as we get to later episodes. But yeah, what did you think about the Harcesis overall story? Because obviously it came into 2 or 3 episodes in this series.
The favorite thing I liked about the Harcesis was the little Buddhist monkish kid, with all of these sayings that absolutely undecipherable.
Zen.
The wisdom of Zen is in the center.
I want to know who wrote his lines for that episode, because they did damn well. Whoever wrote those lines for that episode did damn well with him.
They Googled a lot, didn't they, on that one?
Yeah. Well, there wasn't Google back. Well, there was there Google. That's what.
You might have had to use books. Yeah, they would have actually read stuff. But
Wikipedia handy.
Yeah, I like the Harcesis storyline. I like how it ended Daniel's journey, trying to find his wife and trying to find, and and I think it was quite a cruel twist that they then played on him. The earlier episode, oh god, I can't find it now, where the Harcesis are forever in clay. I didn't like that episode particularly. I thought it was a bit boring. But in the whole, actually, I think the Harcesis storyline is kind of irrelevant. Does it ever even come back? Do we ever see the Harcesis again?
Sometimes I wonder if it was just a red herring to introduce the ancestors. That was one hell of a path to take to get the ancestors. Actually, showing. Because I don't think the Harcesis comes up again.
I don't think it does. Which does make you feel like that was an awful lot of emotional abuse of Daniel for no reason, really. Because it never really, it doesn't. I don't think it's ever even mentioned again that Daniel's got a half. It's not really his son, is it? But his wife's son is wandering around, and
who he promised to take care of. But
hey, I mean, let's face it, Daniel's a foothold.
But it does introduce the ancients, and it does give us a bit of a foundation. The ancients, I suppose there is that.
Yes.
A couple of other episodes that really stood out for me. Point of View. It was episode 6 of the series, the Mirror episode.
Oh, that was
with Sam with long hair. It was very pretty. I like Sam with long hair. I like Sam with short hair. I just like Sam. Yes, nothing to look at. But I thought that was really nice. And we got his name's gone. Died in the first episode, came from the movie. They played the same. They used the same.
It's not Sokka.
No, I want to say Kaczynski, but that's not right.
Oh, it's Sergeant
Kowalski.
Kowalski came back.
Area 52 guard, Area 51 guard in Independence Day.
Yeah, there you go. So he came back. So Kowalski was in it again, which was brilliant. It was just a really good episode. I really liked it. I liked how they were like flicking through. They Daniel had the remote control and he has to flick through the universes, and he's like, "Oh, that's the one." And, no, I'm the wrong rank. Damn it! That was a really good episode. I love that episode.
That made the sci-fi very happy because that's not just multiverses that they're going through. That's like they potentially introduce microverses in like the 7th dimension as well, and maybe even more than that. So that gets really scientific fast. I doubt they explore that too much further anywhere else, but
well, they did, but it wasn't in this universe.
Yeah, they researched the hell out of it in another universe.
Good,
probably. You sneaky bugger.
Sorry.
A couple of the episodes that run through this quite a lot, though, was the Satan episodes, wasn't it? And that goes through to the whole Sokar, and these are episodes that for me again was just a bit dull, and I didn't think they went. And the Sokar guy they had to play Sokar wasn't scary. He looked a bit. He looked like if he lived next door, you'd really watch where your children were if he was about. It's just like you don't want him near that guy. Don't that guy's a bit strange. Do you want to come look at my puppy? No. But I'm not scared of him. So I didn't really like that character. But those whole episodes were just a bit random, I thought. What did you guys think?
Yeah, there for a while it seems like they just, got the catalog of Egyptian deities and just started knocking them off. And just have somebody, it was the Egyptian god Death of the Week or something.
Yes.
Because you really chewed through them for a while. It's like, okay. But still, Apophis, kill him, videotape it. Oh, he's in the next episode. Okay. Fuck for that.
Yeah. Those episodes were about Apophis, though, for me. They built Sokar up as this terrifying character, and then they just didn't do it. It became about Apophis. I'm like, you've just built up Satan, and he's not really in it.
He's not all that satanic,
No. It's like when they did the book of Boba Fett, and Boba Fett wasn't in it for 2 days. It's just like, where's Sokar? Where's Satan? But yeah, it's just a bit shit, really.
It could have been
so. They
good.
Boba Fetted him. Oh my god.
But I mean, this series, though, for me, though, they did tie up all the loose ends, didn't they? I think from the movie. So Skara's story in the episode Pretense was also tied up in a really nice way, actually, having that the Tolan had that court case basically to decide which being deserved to live. Was it Skara or was it Chlorel? And I liked how they did. That's a clever. That's one of the things about Stargate that I love is that they never do anything the way you expect them to do it. That was I really like that storyline. But again, that just tied up that storyline, and so between Shade and Skara, all done.
All done.
Which throws me off that they don't bring the Harcesis child back into play at any point after all this stuff. If that's like kind of the last time they say it a little later, I can't even speak right now. A little later in the season, that's such an odd choice. You'd think it'd be so much more pivotal, but if it introduces the ancients, it does its job.
Yeah, maybe they'll bring it back for the new series. Maybe that's Brad Wright's thinking. But one episode I absolutely loved, but not for any other reason than Cannonball Run with Burt Reynolds was one of my favorite films when I was a kid, and Dom DeLuise is just brilliant in it. And then we have the episode Ergo, which again was a slightly random episode. It was a fun episode, but I love Dom DeLuise. It's just great. It was fun. Sorry, go on.
It was fun though. Yeah.
His character and the papaya character in my two of my favorite episodes, just like one-off episodes sort of thing. I just loved Ergo. He's annoyingly hilarious, a bit like Stormy. So, but he's just fantastic in it. I just thought it was great. But there are some good episodes in this. But I mean, the 100 Days episode where O'Neill meets Lara and he falls in love with her, that was a bit boring, if I'm honest. New Ground was a bit boring. I thought the Jolinar's memory was a bit boring. It's just there are a few episodes in this season that I didn't think a lot of. I skipped a few.
Do you think some of those episodes were there, like O'Neill falling in love was literally, do you think they wrote that as almost an excuse for the next episode because they knew what they wanted to do with Maybourne and him kind of filling in the blanks almost? Because they had 22 episodes to fill in some blanks.
Yeah, there's always a couple of filler episodes, isn't there? And I mean, they do use that storyline in the next video. That's why that's how Jack gets an excuse to go through the gate. So I mean, they do use that episode. So I don't know. Maybe it was a bit chicken and the egg, or like cart full of horse, and thinking that they I wouldn't have thought they would set up an entire episode just to do that, but they had to.
But if you got 22 episodes,
yeah.
Well, and it may have just been one of those lucky coincidences, unplanned positive circumstance. Oh, hey, let's use it. Because if you think about it, if you go through the catalog of episodes, there's plenty of other places Jack, would have just wanted to be off world.
Yeah, I don't the episode Foothold was one of the was a good episode as well, and we got to meet a couple of new recruits, and we got to see a bit more about how the SGC works. But to me, it was just like it was a bit one of those, in the sci-fi movies. They do it all the time. They did it in like Avengers and all sorts. That you have an impossible army. It's impossible to defeat. But it's okay, because all you have to do is like defeat the one hive mind, and the rest will just die and fall asleep. And they kind of did that with Foothold. And I kind of wish I always find that a little bit lazy. But it's a clever enough episode. I just thought it was a bit. They'd done it before, sort of thing.
And they'll do it again.
I'll do it again.
Or it could have been just another excuse for Maybourne to screw up.
Yeah, and again, more Maybourne screwed up in that one as well.
Judicon just talked about Jolinar's memories and how that's just good character development for Sam and the Tok'ra. And then Jacob Carter's storyline. That was honestly one of the good subplots of season 3. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I did. I found the episode as a whole boring, but you're right. It does build up the whole Sam and relationship with the dad. and yeah, I do think that's important, and that they had a difficult relationship, but they were trying to rebuild that relationship, and we learned more about the Tok'ra as well. So I mean, it added to the general story and the plot and the background of Stargate. I just found the episode a little slow. I think it's a little stale, but it's important to watch, and these are the episodes you can't skip, or you'll never have a bloody clue. What did you guys think of the Crystal?
Skip. I don't think they're. It doesn't seem. I mean, I'm only 4 seasons in and just in the beginning, but it doesn't seem like they're really episodes that we can skip. Maybe in the future, but
I wouldn't skip anything, because even if you he's gone, he's going to eat. But even if you skip an episode, they'll say something that will come back as important.
Yeah.
But this is also the greatest sci-fi show ever made, so don't skip anything. What are you thinking?
Exactly. No.
Jesus
I
Christ.
wasn't thinking there was anything skippable. That's why.
What did you guys think of the Crystal Skull episode?
I didn't tweet about it because I laughed because they did Crystal Skull better than Spielberg 10 years before Spielberg decided to do it. It was 40 minutes.
Yeah, I like the episode.
You know, of course, Daniel Jackson would have crazy grandfather that was also ostracized from the community. It's like, of course, Daniel's grandfather was ostracized. From the community.
Of course, Daniel had a mental ground. It actually taught us a lot about why Daniel was Daniel at the start of the movie, there wasn't it, as well? Why he had these crazy ideas, and yeah, it's not my favorite episode. I'm not gonna lie. It's again a bit boring.
Slow but world build.
Yeah, but it's world building, and we learn something new about Daniel, which is always good. I always love it when you learn something new about the characters. But
so, like the agents, do we get to see those aliens again down the road, possibly?
No. But there is rumors that they may be related to the Furlings somehow. Some people believe, which is another one of the alien races that we don't ever really get to see properly. But they get hinted at a few times.
Those are those Ewok looking ones, huh?
They're not, no. Yeah, well, yes and no. In an episode, Jack is basically dreaming, and he mentions the Furlings, and that's what he thinks. That's what O'Neill believes they would look like. So he thinks Furlings, they're going to be furry, right? So he thinks they look like the Ewoks. And we don't ever actually see them.
Interesting.
No, there's an Atlantis episode where we think we see them, but it doesn't actually say it's them. There's an episode with the Daedalus is captured, and all the crew are beamed away, and it turns out it's a test, by this ancient alien species. So it's implied heavily that that's the Furlings. And there's another episode as well, which I can't. And series 9, but anyway, but we never actually see them. So yeah, that time we see them. That's just O'Neill's brain. So,
hey, it makes my Star Wars self happy.
Yeah, I better give you a little Star Wars happy, didn't it? So yeah, series 3 then, in a nutshell. Not the best series in the world, but well, it batters up season 4, which is an astonishing series. I mean, if we talk about Nemesis being a great episode, series 4, episode 1. I remember watching it new when it first came out, and I remember just being absolutely blown away by it. It was just like, shit. I think that's when I absolutely fell in love with Stargate and never looked back. I was like, screw you, Star Trek. What do you guys think in a nutshell?
Yeah, it was okay. I think if if Stargate turned out to be a short time series, I think we'd be saying, well, season 3 was pretty good, then it all went to shit.
Yeah.
But because we got such astonishing great content later on, the average quality went up so much high. We now see season 3 as less than the rest of the series. It seems to be a low point when really it was just a jumping off point. Ike.
No,
Yeah,
I
always
like what Judicon just said, because just coming from like a whole fresh point of view again, and watching it all, and season 3 wasn't amazing, but also, like I said, just I like to world build. I'm a fan of all these different things. I like to write myself sometimes, and from like a writing perspective, it feels like it sets the stage going forward, and Judicon says it does for the whole series. So I'm going with Judicon.
Yeah, I would argue that it's one of those things, wasn't it? With this was why SG1 in particular was so brilliant, was because it was always really good at reinventing itself and building on what it had already done and growing. And this is just the perfect example of that. That yeah, okay, compared to what came afterwards, it's not the best season in the world. But to be fair, neither was season 1 or 2, 1 or 2, yeah. But it just kept growing. In this season, we tied up all the loose ends from the movie. We sort of put that Stargate behind us, and we went into the next phase of Stargate, where the replicators became more of a concern than the Goa'uld, really.
Okay.
I think this is when the Goa'uld all of a sudden are not considered the threat that they were. You know, it's like all of a sudden the Taurese world has got a lot bigger. You know, and it's just this is the season that it gets big. And but SG1 in particular, it's reinvented itself so many times. Obviously, I mean, no more so than in series 9 and 10, where it completely reinvented itself. That series could have gone on forever. So gutted we lost it.
I like that reinvention though. It really, I mean, a lot of kind of 90s and early 2000s shows didn't necessarily. They were cheesy in their own ways, and this is cheesy in a lot of ways, but it's also very humanizing by like reinventing people. Not just every season, but halfway through the season, you learn some pivotal information that really changes like the dynamic of like Sam Carter with her dad, and Daniel Jackson with the whole Harcesis event. Just every little time that's even brought up, it just mentally changes Daniel, and you see like the remnants of that in each episode. And I'm a fan. I like it. I'm excited to see where it will continue to reinvent itself.
You got a solo of series 4.
Because no, see, I don't want to throw anybody off. No spoilers, I guess. But also, it's a little late for spoilers here. Season 4, the second you just said, the replicators kind of become the forefront of the threat compared to the Goa'uld. They get those armbands. I just watched the episode with the armbands, and the 3 of them, Daniel Jackson, Carter, and O'Neill, just take out Apophysis entire. They essentially just built that new ship, almost akin to how the Asgard just built that new fancy ship to take out the replicators. And then in about 10 minutes, or 15 minutes to be exact, that thing's blown up and gone. Which is great. It shows you that they're leveling up, little bit by little bit.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. But going into season 4, I think it was a great series. I loved it when it came out. It's just got looking back on it, isn't it? So that is season 3, really sorted. Some great episodes, some not so great episodes that you can skip. You can't skip many in this one though, because it keeps telling you stuff that you really need to know for later episodes. But like I say, introduction of the replicators. In many ways the least terrifying bad guy on the planet, because you never see them actually hurt anyone. It's always door closes, you hear screams from the other side of the room, and actually, you can't help but think like, oh, how scary are they? But actually, they're fucking brilliant. And it's just another time then Stargate comes up with a completely new villain that's just brilliant. So fantastic. All right then, Stormy, we're done early.
Excuse me, what was that last bit?
Yeah, we're done early.
I think we're done early.
Yeah, normally you've dragged this out until like an hour and 20 minutes until my wife's ready to divorce me.
Well, it's because I can't talk.
It's because of COVID, isn't it? You're too poorly. You're too poorly to irritate me. But guys, thank you so much for joining. We can wrap this one up nice and easy because we didn't really talk about Maybourne a great deal, but yeah, I mean, it is in a nutshell. And I don't want to ruin it too much for you, Harris, but every time we see him, he screws something up.
He seems like almost presented in a way as like an anti-hero to a degree. but I
Mm.
feel like he's more of like an anti-villain in a way, or he's always trying to do some more kind of personal gain, some bad shit for the most part, and then kind of has to help out every now and then.
You know, you get those buddy movies where there's like a cop movie and they're supposed to love each other, but really they just hate each other, and they just think that's O'Neill and Maybourne, particularly in the later episodes. Except O'Neill never does the love bit; he just hates him, and it's just that's always the same way. Even when he has to save his life in a later episode when he becomes king of his own planet. But it's
O'Neill at one point in time asked Hammond to help him retrieve his soul at one point because of Maybourne.
Yeah, it messes everything up. But thank you guys. And Stormy, thank you so much for joining us, mate, when you are really, really not well.
Thank you. Dude, I really enjoyed it. At least I got to talk to somebody.
Oh, that's a good point. Instead of just the wall. Everybody,
blank wall.
Yeah.
Harris, thank you again. And let's show off your stunning jumper just before we go.
Hey,
available at
But,
See the quality. You modeling, look at you showing off. But thank you. Oh, this t-shirt's available as well. And Stormy, I don't want to ruin things, but you know, I said I was going to get you something, a little thank you.
Yeah.
I might have accidentally forgot to pay for it. So, but it's coming now. So hopefully next time we see you, you will have your gift and you can show something off. All right.
Okay.
I just went into it. Stormy hasn't mentioned that. It should have arrived by now. So I went on the website and it was still sat in the checkout. Shit, I'm paying for it. So you have a little thank you on its way. And Harris, don't buy anything else off sidetrek.com because just let me know. I will send it you. Okay.
Thank you. I've got my 3%.
Excellent. Don't forget, guys, if you are new to the channel, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and more importantly, go over to Stormy on Cyworks and subscribe there, and Harris on MCubed, where he does brilliant videos. I share them on the channel as well when I can be bothered. Yeah, get over there and show them some Side Trek love. Guys, Stormy, get well.
Yes,
Harris,
sir.
don't get COVID. I don't think you can catch it through the internet, but just in case, the internet has been playing up, so maybe COVID getting both of us.
I better not. I gotta be in Costa Rica in 3 days, so I'm staying healthy.
Damn it, man! Going to Costa Rica. You were in Vegas last week.
I'll bring my camera and microphone. We'll be good. I got my laptop with me.
And I'm just thinking, I wish I was young again. But anyway, all right, guys, have fun. We'll see you really soon. Oh no, I'm about to hit the wrong thing. Okay. See you later, champs.